Hey everyone, welcome to this ultimate step-by-step tutorial where we are going to build something incredible together. It's an automated weather data ETL pipeline using Apache Airflow on AWS EC2. Whether you're just starting out in data engineering or looking to solidify your cloud-based automation skills, this project will definitely blow your mind. We will be fetching live weather data from an API, transforming it using Python, and storing it in an S3 bucket, or orchestrated through Airflow DAGs running on a virtual server in the cloud. I promise by the end of this video, you'll have a fully working ETL pipeline deployed and automated like a real world data engineer. So make sure to grab a coffee and stay till the end. It's definitely worth it. All right, let's head over to AWS. And in case if you don't have an AWS account, you can create an AWS free tier account. Let me show you how you create it. You can just go and search it as AWS free tier account create. And yeah, and then when you click this, yeah, so you can follow the instructions. You can click the create a free account from here, and then you can follow the instructions and create a AWS free trial account. And once you're done, you can follow me from here onwards. Uh, so we'll start by launching a new EC2 instance. So for that, you need to go here and search it as EC2. Yeah, here I get these two. Let me go for instances. Yeah. And then you need to click the launch instances to create an AWS EC2 instance. So an AWS EC2 instance, you can think of this as your personal cloud computer. And then here I'll give a name as, let's say, I'll name it as Weather API Airflow. And then I'll select Ubuntu for the Amazon machine image. And then you can leave this how it is here. And then for the instance type, T2.micro, which is the free tier variable, it doesn't work for this application. So for this project. So, and I even tried T2.small that didn't also work due to the limited capacity. So and then I tried with T2.medium, it worked. So better to use T2.medium. Then once you're done with the project, you can finally stop the instance. So you can select T2.medium. And then here you can either create a new key pair, or if you have already created a key pair, you can use it. I have already created a key pair, so I'll use it. Or if you want, I can maybe even you can I can show you, like, you can click this create new key pair, and here you can uh, provide a name, a key pair name, and then you can click create key pair, and that'll create a new key pair for you, and you can use it. So since I already have a key pair, I'll select this key pair, and then I'll take both of these. And yeah, I think I'm good to launch this instance. Yeah, it's successfully initiated. So let me check. Let me refresh this. Yeah, uh, yes, these are the one which I have just created. Uh, it's running, but this is still initializing. This would like probably take like 3 4 minutes. So now we have our but we have our status checks being passed. Two out of two checks passed. So next, what I need to do is I need to click the security tab. Make sure to click this. Make sure to click this EC2 instance which you have just created, which is running with the API Airflow. And then you need to click the security tab here. And then when you go down, you see this security group links, this link under security groups. So you need to click that link, and then you'll be directed to somewhere like this. And then you need to click this edit inbound tools button. And why I need to edit this inbound tools is that I need to create a, so that I need to see the UI of Airflow. So that's the reason why I'm editing this inbound tools. So, and Airflow is going to be running in the port 8080. So I need to add this port of 8080 so that I can see the UI of Airflow. So I'll add a rule and let this be custom TCP, and I'll add the port 8080. And here I'll select anywhere IPv4. You can select my IP, but then it will be only limited for your IP address. But I'll select anywhere anywhere IPv4. And yeah, I'll save this rule. Okay. Next, select the EC2 instance which we have created, which is with the API Airflow. Select the EC2 instance and then click the connect button. You will be directed to a screen like this. In case if you are like by default select like if this tab was selected like SSH client or session manager, is select this EC2 instance connect tab, and then you can leave this how it is, and then username Ubuntu, that's correct, and then you can click this correct button. And now let's run the necessary commands to set up Python, pip, Airflow, and etc. You can follow along with. So I'll first run sudo app update. This will update the EC2 that I have just provisioned. Okay. Next, let's run the command sudo app install Python 3 here. Yeah. So this should install the which we'll be using. Yes. Do you want to continue? Yes. There are fewer commands as well. I'll paste them for now. I'll paste each of those commands one by one, and then I'll attach all of those commands in the description as well so that you can easily follow along. That's it. Yeah, that's correct. We paste the next command. Yeah, it's correct. It's the next command. Yeah. Okay. So now let me create and activate a virtual environment by running this command. So this will create the virtual environment and also activate the virtual environment. This is the name of the virtual environment. If you want, you can use another name, but I have used it as ETL underscore environment. Yeah, the virtual environment has been activated. And now let me run pip install pandas to install uh, pandas. I think I have already installed pandas, so oh no, I thought I had already installed it. Then let me install S3FS. Then let me install Apache Airflow. Okay. And then uh, okay, we install Apache Airflow. And next, let me run the command Airflow standalone. Okay, perfect. So next, what we need to do, so you will get your username and password here. Uh, Please don't use this password. Anyways, I'll be terminating all of these once I'm done with the video. Uh, and next, so next, come to your EC2 instance, and then you'll see something, and then under details section, you will see something like public IPv4 DNS. So under that, you'll see this link. So copy this link, right? And then open a new browser, paste this. And remember, we created a port 8080. We added a port 8080. So so what you need to do is you open a new tab, paste the URL which you copied, and at the end of it, add a colon and enter 8080 and click enter. And now we should see the UI of Apache Airflow. Perfect. So nice. So if you have got this far, good job. And if you're not able to get here, maybe there could be few minor errors and etc. So I would encourage you to spend a bit time debugging those errors, and then you can come here. So if I came here to job, so our username was admin, and then you need to copy the password which was shown here. Uh, Here you see like many get requests and etc. So those are because we have already interacted with the Apache Airflow. So that's why you see like many get requests and everything all over. Where's the password? Yeah. So copy this password, copy it, and then paste it here. Okay, and then click the sign in button. Okay, so this is the tags. So the directed acyclic graph. Not now. Okay, so this is the DAX, which means the directed acyclic graphs. So this is used to represent the workflow. So these tags come with so here you can see like many tags, right? There are already 69 tags. So these tags come with the Airflow we have installed, but we'll be building our own pipeline. So once we build our own pipeline, there'll be one more tag being added here. So then there'll be 70 tags. So sometimes when you watch the video, for example, let's say if there are 75 tags originally there when you install Apache Airflow, right? Let's say there are 75 tags. And then when you create the new pipeline and add it, there'll be one more tag being added here. So then it'll be 76 tags. So we'll be building our own pipeline next. Before that, for example, let's say you can click a tag if you want. For example, let's just select a tag like dataset underscore producers underscore one. And then you can click this graph section. So this is an example of a tag. And maybe I can show you another one tag. Let's say data consumes one, two. Right? This is another example. So this is the directed acyclic graph. So this is how it looks like, right? This is the flow. It's only for one direction. All right. So next, let's start developing our code. Okay, so now before we start coding, we need to connect the VS Code to our EC2 instance. And for this, we need to use the remote SSH. So I've already opened my VS Code. So you need to open your VS Code and then go for the extension section. And then since we need to connect the VS Code to our EC2 instance, here we use something called as a remote SSH. We use an extension called remote SSH. So install the remote SSH extension. You can go to the extension section and then search for remote SSH, remote dash SSH. You should probably get it. Yeah. So this is the extension. I have already installed it. But if you have not installed it, you instead of uninstall and disable, you would see an install button. Click it, and then this remote dash SSH will be installed. Then next, you need to go to file and then open folder. And here you need to go for your uh, users is sorry, you need to go for your users and then probably your name. And then there you can find, so you need to go for this PC and then the C drive users and my name. And here you will find a .ssh file folder. Click the .ssh folder and select and open that folder. Okay, yeah, I'll again show you file open folder and then C drive users Saki and .ssh. Select this folder and open it. Okay, and here you need to And then you need to click this, close this remote extension tab. And then you need to go for, like you can either click Control Shift B, or you can, open the remote window by clicking this button. Okay, and then there you need to search for connect to host, and then yeah, connect to host remote SSH. So you need to select this. Uh, and here you need to, you will not see this option with the API Airflow if you have not created it. So then you need to select this configure SSH hosts. You select this option. And here you need to you need to select the it's asking you for the path of the config file. So that is the first option, C users, your name and .ssh folder, and there you can find the config file. So you need to select this path. And then you might not get this sometimes. You might not get this. Uh, you might not get this. Then you need to type it because I have already created it. That's why I get this. You need to type it. So you need to. So here for the host, you need to provide the uh, name of your EC2 instance. So go to the EC2 instance uh, which you have created and copy the name carefully, which is with the API Airflow. Better to copy it and then paste it here, front of host. Okay, and then you have the host name. So there you need to provide the public IP address in this place. Okay, so you can find the public IP address by going to the instances section. And then, so this is the EC2 instance which we're using. Here you can find the public IP address, which is 50.17.69.195. You can copy it. You can also find it somewhere here. Yeah, here. Both of these are the same, 50, 17, 69, 195. Both are the same. And you copy it, you paste it here, and the user is Ubuntu because we created with Ubuntu. We created the EC2 instance with Ubuntu, so the user will be Ubuntu. You can even check it here. You can, when you go down here, yeah, here. Where is it? It's Linux, Unix here, and here it's also Ubuntu. So if it is here, it's the platform details is Linux. So that means it's Ubuntu. And remember, we selected when we were creating the EC2 instances, we selected Ubuntu. So that's why the user is Ubuntu. And this is the identity file. Identity file is the PEM file. Remember that like when you created when creating the EC2 instance, if you have not created, like even if like when you created the key pair for the EC2 instance, there you downloaded a .pem file, right? So this is the path of the .pem file. So I had already, like I couldn't show you the, like I didn't do the key pair file creation at the moment when I was creating this video, but I did it previously. So I created the key pair file and downloaded the .pem file with the credentials of the key pair values, and this is the path of that. So if I go for the, I can show you. So when I go for the download section, where is the KPI file? So this is the etl-cw-project-key.pem. Right. So this is the file. I can copy the path of this file, copy as path, and then you can provide it here. So probably you might also have and remove this double quotes. And probably you might also download it directly. So then it would be in your downloads folder. Right. So you can go there, copy the path and paste it. Yeah, and make sure to remove the double quotes and save it. Uh, so after saving, again type Control Shift P, or you can click this button here, open remote window, and then click the connect to host option. And here you need to select the EC2 instance name. which is with the API Airflow. And here you need to select continue. Now it's opening the remote and the VS Code is almost going to get connected. Uh, yeah, okay, nice. So it have been connected. So here we see the SSH here, like in the left, in the bottom left, you see uh, this SS in the with the green color background. You see the text, right? SSH with the API Airflow. This means it's been created. It's been uh, connected. The VS Code is being connected with the EC2 instance. You can even double check it by creating a new terminal, right? So when you create a new terminal, so here you see this extent, you see this part, right? Ubuntu at IP, this part. So this means that it's been successfully connected. That's why you see this part. Nice. Now let's look how can we get the OpenWeatherMap API key. So to get real-time weather data, we'll be using the OpenWeatherMap API. It's free and very beginner friendly. So first you need to go to OpenWeatherMap. So I'll type in Google as Open Weather Map. Yeah, I've already searched it. And then you can click the first link, which is openweathermap.org. You click the first link. And I have already created an account. So if you have not created an account, you might need to create an account to get the API. And then after creating the account, you'll see your name here. And then when you click this button next to your name, you see this my services, my API keys, my payments, etc. And then you need to click the my API keys button, and then you will be directed to somewhere like this with the API keys. So here, if you haven't, if you want, you can generate an API key here by clicking the generate. You can provide the key name and click the generate button, and then the API key will be generated. I'll copy my API key. And please avoid using this API key. I'll be anyways. So now this API key is active. The status is active, but after this video, I'll be deactivating this API key. So it will not work if you probably try with this same API key. So please generate a new API key and use it. So I'll copy this API key. You can copy this API key, and then you can save it in a safe place. We'll be plugging it to the code soon. Let's go to a VS Code now and then select File, Open Folder, and then select Home Ubuntu, which will be shown to you automatically. And then you click OK. Nice. It's taking few seconds. Okay. Most about all of this. So next, what I need to do is I need to create our DAG file, right? So to create a DAG file, uh, so here you see all of these folders, right? This ETL underscore env is the virtual environment which we created when we're using AWS at the beginning. Hope you remember. This is a virtual environment, and let's go to Airflow now. And inside this Airflow, we need to uh, create a tags folder, and within that we need to create a tag file. So click this Airflow folder and then select new folder And let's create a new folder named DAGs. Okay, it's been created. And now within this DAGs folder, we need to create a DAG file. So click this DAGs folder, right click and select new file. And let's name that new file as, let's say, weather underscore tag.py. Okay, so we should create a DAG file. Nice, it's been created. All right, let's dive into the first part of our DAG. So first up, we import a few essential modules, which you can see in the top of this section. So first we have DAG, which is the directed acyclic graph. So DAG is a core building block of any Airflow workflow. It stands for directed acyclic graph, and it defines the structure and flow of our ETL process. And then I have imported time data and date time, which you can see in the next row. So this helps us set the scheduling and retry, helps us set the scheduling and also the retry behavior. And then we have the HTTP sensor being imported. So this HTTP sensor is a special kind of Airflow operator that keeps checking a URL to see if it's responsive before moving to the next task. You can understand about this HTTP sensor better from this below code implementation, because here I have used the HTTP sensor. So when I come to this section, you can understand it much more better. And then you have this, and then I have imported JSON. This is to pass the data we receive from the weather API. And after importing these modules, then I have defined a dictionary called default arguments. So these are like the default settings for every task inside this DAG. So I have started with owner, right? So owner means here we specify who owns the workflow. In this case, it's Airflow. And then after that, I have mentioned depend on past and set it to false, meaning the task doesn't rely on the previous runs. And then after that, there is the start date, which is this particular date. So start date is when the Airflow should start scheduling the DAG. So in this case, it will be start scheduling the DAG from this day onwards. And then I have provided the email. You can provide your email on this format. And after that, we have email on failure and email on retry. So I have turned both of them to false just to keep things simple here. If you want, you can make it true, but I have set it for false just to keep things simple. And then we have the retries and retry delay. These define how many times a task should retry if it fails, and retry delay is for how long to wait between the retries. Here we retry twice with a 2 minute gap, because here it's 2, so it's we retry twice and the retry gap is 2 minutes. Okay, so now the real DAG starts here from this part onwards. So now we're creating a DAG named weather DAG, and this weather DAG will be running once a day. As you can see here, it will be running because I've used at daily as a schedule interval, so it will be running once a day, and the catch up is equal to false. This tells Airflow not to backfill missed runs if the scheduler was off, which helps us avoid unnecessary reruns. And then we have this part, which is the is weather API ready. So here's where we define our very first task. This is a sensor. Okay, so what this does is it keeps pinging the weather API until it gets a valid response. So you can think of it like a gatekeeper, for example. So here, the rest of the pipeline doesn't proceed until this API is up and ready. So if you look into the task ID here, this particular row, so here the task ID is a unique name for this task inside the DAG. And then after that, we have the HTTP connection ID. This HTTP connection ID refers to a connection we'll define in the Airflow's UI, which includes the base URL of the weather API. And then we have the endpoint, which we need to follow, which we need to provide in this particular format. If you check in the uh, documentation of the WeatherMap API, it mentions that the endpoint needs to follow this particular format. So that's why I have followed this particular format. So this endpoint specifies the path we want to check. So here it checks weather data for a specific city using your API key. So here in the city name area, you need to provide the name of the city which you want. So here, let's say, for example, we want Columbus weather data. And here you need to provide the API key, which I showed you previously. So here you need to copy and paste that API key. So I'll copy my API key and paste it. Uh, here's my API key. We copy my API key and paste it here. Okay. Now let's look how can we create a new connection using Airflow UI. So for that, you need to go for the admin section and under that, click the connections uh, tab, click the connections option. And then you would be directed to a UI like this. And here you need to uh, create a new connection by clicking this plus icon. And here you need to provide the connection ID. So the connection ID should be the same as you have used in your code here. So it should be, you should use the same name, which is WeatherMap API. If you have used another name, you need to make sure that you use that same name as a connection ID. So let me provide the connection ID with the map underscore API. I guess it's correct. And then the connection type is HTTP because because that's an HTTP request. So the connection type is HTTP. And then for the host, and then I need to provide the host. So for the host, do you remember in the WeatherMap API? Let me show you. So when you go to the API section, uh, under the API section, you need to go for the current weather data because that's what we're using. And here you can find the base URL. Yeah. So you can use this. You can copy this part from https2.org. You can copy this part and then use it as the host, which is the base URL. And we can leave the others empty for now and click the save button. Okay, so a new row has been added. Now let's go to the airflow.configuration file to double check and make sure that the tags folder path is correct. Is it correct? Uh, so here we need to check whether the tags folder path is correct. It's home, Ubuntu, under Airflow, we are having tags. That's correct. So now let's take a look on our Airflow UI. Let me refresh this. Okay, good job. So previously there were only 69 attacks, but now we see that there's 70 attacks. So if you don't see the tag which I've created, you may uh, like try to refresh and check it again because it can sometimes take like a few couple of minutes to create the tag. So then you can refresh, click the refresh and see after a few minutes whether the tag has been created. Now let's go find our tag. It should be, I think, at the bottom area because it's W. Yeah. Let me click our tag with underscore tag. And here, let's click on the graph section. So now uh, we can see a task which we have created, which is weather API ready. So what this task does is it's going to connect to the WeatherMap API and then it will check the endpoint. I provided the city in the endpoint as Colombo, and it will also check the API key which I have provided. Right, so that's what this is where the API ready task does. So now let's run and see this task. So let me click this trigger tag button and run the task. Let me go to graph section. It's cute. Okay, we can see a green here, which means it's successful. So, and in case if you, so that means the task has been ran successfully. That's nice. And in case if you encounter an error, you can go to the log section. So you can click this and you can go to the log section here. And then you can identify and fix the error here. So here it's success criteria met. So here there's no any errors. But in case if you're having any errors, you can fix it here. And even you can like you can go for if you have any errors, it will also be popped up here uh, in your like in the tags page. So here you probably in this area you will be able to see the error, and from there also you can identify and try to debug your error. Now let's create our next task to extract data. I have already copy pasted the relevant code for the second task so that you can save time and easily follow it. So, and I'll be adding the entire code. Uh, I'll be uploading the entire code in a GitHub repo, and I'll be attaching the link of that repo in the description so that you can easily follow along. So I have imported few modules that we'll be using in the next few tasks, and then I have added this part of code particularly for the task 2. And I'll explain this. So I have named this task as extract. I have named the second task as extract weather data. And here I have provided the task ID. And I have used the same task name, which is extract weather data, as a task ID. And then we have the HTTP connection ID. HTTP connection ID refers to the connection we have created in the Airflow UI. So we have named this connection in the Airflow UI as WeatherMap underscore API, and that's why I have used the same name. And then the endpoint. So endpoint will also remain the same like the one which we have above. It will also be the same. It will also have this same endpoint. This is the city, and then we have the API. Please provide your API. This API will not be working as I'll be disabling it after the video. And then we have method is equal to get. That means it's a get method. So I've used a get method because we want to get data. And then we have the response underscore filter. So this is a Lambda function, right? This is a Lambda function. So what it says is, so it's saying to response such that JSON dot loads. So we obtain the response text and then we load it in this stage. And then after that, I have said the log underscore response is equal to true, which means I want to log the response. And then you can see this line, right? So this is a workflow. So this is where the API ready. That is the first task. And after checking whether the API is ready, then it will go to the second task. So the first task needs to be successful to go to the second task. And the second task is to extract the weather data. Now, let's say with Control S. And now let's check this from the Airflow UI. So you go to the Airflow UI and you can refresh it by clicking this Airflow button, or you can even click the refresh button at the top. Okay, now let's go to with underscore tag and go to the graph section. Nice. Perfect. So here we can see our workflow. So first we have the ease with the API ready. And after that, we have the extract underscore with the data, the first task followed by the second task. So let's run both of them and see. Let's run this particular DAG. Go to the graphs. Okay. The first task is successful. The second task is scheduled. Perfect. So both of the tasks, the first task and the second task are successful and they are being connected as well. That's nice. In this section, let's look into our third task, which is transform load weather data, which you can see here. And for this, I'll be using a Python operator, as you can see here. I've already imported it. So if you go to the top, here you can find that I've already imported Python operator. We'll also be using pandas. So I have, since we have installed pandas, we can directly import it here. We'll be using pandas also in the next few steps. So if you look into our third task, which is transform load weather data, this is the task ID, which you can see here, right? So this needs to be unique across the same DAG. You can't repeat the same task ID anywhere else in the same DAG. So I have used the task name. I have used the same task name, transform load with the data as the task ID, as you can see here. And then we have this Python callable, which is equal to transform load data. This means that we need to run the function transform load data for this particular task. So you can find this transform load data at the top. So we need to run this function for the third task. So here you can see that we'll be passing a task instance. And we'll be passing the task instance of the extraction task. Right? So as you can see here, we'll be passing the task ID. So the task ID is extract with the data. So that means we'll be passing the extract with the data task as a task instance. So we'll be pulling this extract task and we'll be calling it as data here. As you can see here, we'll be pulling it and we'll be calling this extract with the data task as data. And then I'm getting the city name, Colombo in this case. And then I'm obtaining the weather description, as you can see in this row. And then after that, we are obtaining the temperature in Fahrenheit. So originally the temperature is in Kelvin. So we are converting it to Fahrenheit using the function Kelvin to Fahrenheit. So this is where I'm calling the function Kelvin to Fahrenheit, but I have defined this function above. So this will convert the Kelvin temperature to Fahrenheit, and that's what we get here. So likewise, we'll be converting the fields like temperature, the minimum temperature, the maximum temperature, and all. We'll be converting all of them to Fahrenheit. And after that, we'll be obtaining the pressure, humidity, wind speed, time of record, sunrise time, sunset time, and etc. Yeah, yes. And then you can see this data time zone. What this does is it converts a time to local time based on your time zone. And after that, we'll be putting all of the data I obtained above into a dictionary called transform data. I take all of this data which I obtained here and put it into this dictionary called transform data. Oops. Yeah, I put all of them into the dictionary called transform data. So then I can easily convert it into a data frame after putting it into a dictionary. And that's what I have done here. I put it into a dictionary and then convert it into a data frame. Also, next you can see this. I have obtained the time, date, time now, and etc. Right? So why is that? So for each CSV I load, I want the file name to be unique. So for that, I have obtained and included the date time. So I'm obtaining the date time and I'm including the date time when saving the CSV. Right? So I'll be using this and followed by the date string which I obtained using the date and time, and that will only be saved. And then finally, when you come to the bottom, you can see this workflow, right? So first we have is with API ready, which is the task one, and only once the first task is complete, then only it'll go for the second task, which is the extract weather data. And then it extracts the weather data in the second task, and only once the second task is complete, only it'll go to the third task, which is transform load with the data. So now I'll save it, Control S, and let's go to the Airflow. Okay, let's refresh our Airflow. Let me go for the DAG with the underscore DAG. Go for the graph section. And now let me run this DAG. So we see we have three tasks, and all of these tasks are connected with each other. So that's good. And now let's run this. I can see whether all tasks are being running successfully or not. Let's go to the graph section. Okay, the first task is successful, second is queued, second is also successful. Okay, nice. So all three tasks are successful. So that's great. So if you have came this far, that's awesome. And if you have got any errors, you can debug them. You can, as I mentioned earlier, you can select. For example, let's say you got an error in the third task, you can select the task, go for the log section here, and you can debug it easily. So, and also if there's an error, it'll be popping up somewhere here, and you can open that and find more details about the error and debug it. And for the ones who have came this far, excellent. Great job. Okay, so now we haven't specified. Now, if you look into a code, right? If you look into a code here, we haven't specified that we need to save it in an S3 bucket, right? So so the CSV file should be saved in the EC2, right? So that's why you can see here few CSV files, right? Which you can see here. There are these three are the CSV files which I created before using the same code. I ran it thrice, and that's why I got a total of 4 CSV. So since we have not created an S3 bucket, all of the CSV files are being saved into the EC2 instance. So let's click an CSV file, for example, and here you can see all of the details which have been saved. Okay, excellent. All right. So now that we have been able to get the data in the EC2 instance, that means we have been able to do the extraction, transformation, and loading. That's great. So now let's look how can we load our CSV into the S3 bucket. So now let's search for S3. Go for the AWS and search for S3 and click this. And now let me create an S3 bucket. Let me click this create bucket option. Okay, let me provide a bucket name. So this bucket name should be unique globally, which means anyone should not have not been used this before. So let me provide the bucket name, let's say with API Airflow Saki bucket with the API Airflow Saki bucket dash YML, and then let me leave this as default. Okay, and let me click the create bucket option. Okay, successfully created the bucket. Okay, so now that we have created the S3 bucket, now we need to give EC2 access to our S3 bucket. So let's look how can we do this. Let's go for our EC2 instance. I'll type EC2 and go for our EC2 instance. Select the EC2 instance that we're using. And here let me select actions, go for actions, and under that let me go for security. And under that let me select modify IAM role. So here you can, if you've already created an IAM role, you can use it. But I have already created an IAM role, but I'll create a new IAM role so that you can easily follow along. If any of you all have not created a an IAM role, you can follow along easily. So let me create a new IAM role. And let me select create role here. And then let me go for let this be AWS service. That's correct. And the use case should be EC2. Where is EC2? I need to select EC2. So when you select EC2, you get this. So here the EC2 instance. So that means allow EC2 instance to call the AWS services on your behalf. And that's what we want. And let's click next. And here, let me search for EC2. Oops, what's happening? Let me search for EC2 and click enter. And here I should see something as Amazon EC2 full access. This one. Select this, like tick this. And after that, next select like type as S3. And then you should be able to see Amazon S3 full access, which is this. Select this. And after that, so now we have selected the Amazon EC2 full access and Amazon S3 full access. And then click next. Now to give this permission, now we need to give this permission a role name. They've asked us to enter a meaningful name to identify this role. Let me provide, let's say, Airflow dash ETL dash, let's say, weather map dash YouTube dash YML. And then So here we have Amazon EC2 full access and Amazon S3 full access. And yeah, we're good to click the create role button. Okay, so this role has been created. So now what we need to do is we need to come to the modify IAM role. But so now we have created the IAM role. So now we need to go for the previous modify IAM role. And here it's better to refresh it. Okay, so after refreshing, you should be able to see the IAM role which I've created. My one is Airflow, ETL, WeatherMap, YouTube, -YML. This is what I created. And then after that, you need to click the update IAM role button. Okay, excellent. All right. So now let's update our code to save the CSV files inside the S3 bucket instead of saving it within the EC2 instance. So for that, you need to add your S3 bucket name uh, here, right? So I have already added my S3 bucket name here, but in this place, you need to add your S3 bucket name here. You can find your S3 bucket name by going to AWS and then go to the S3 buckets which you have created. And then here you can find your S3 bucket which you have created. Copy it, right? Copy the name of the S3 bucket and then go for VS Code. And then you can paste that name here. Save it. So now let's go again back to AWS. And here, next to your name, right? So next to your profile, you can go. So in this area, right? You see a button right next to your name. So select that and then go for security credentials. Click the security credentials button. You will be directed here. And here, you need to click the create access key button and then take this condition and then click create access key. So now an access key is being created. Now save the access key and the secret key which have been provided. You can download the .csv file as well. Let me download. Give me a second. Let me download this .csv file as well. Okay, it's been downloaded. Uh, we close it. And then you can copy this access key and maybe paste it in a notepad. Let's say access key. And you can paste it in your notepad and you can type your secret access key and save the other one also in your notepad. Uh, Also, I'll paste in a notepad. Okay, so please avoid using the keys which I have. This Please avoid using my keys because that will not work once I'll be disabling it once I'm done with recording this video. So you can follow the same steps and create your access keys. Okay, I have now saved those access keys in the notepad. So now let's go to the terminal of the uh, VS Code. Okay, so then you open your terminal in the VS Code and then activate your virtual environment if it isn't activated. In my case, ETL underscore ENV is the name of my virtual environment, and that's been shown here. And because of that, my virtual environment is activated. And in case if your virtual environment is not activated, please activate your virtual environment and then run this command. I'll provide all of these commands for you in the description section so that you can easily follow along. Okay. And then after that, install unzip. I'll provide the command for that as well. Okay. and then unzip the installer. For that, I'll be running this command to unzip the installer. And now let me run the installer using this command. Okay, excellent. And after that, I need to run the command AWS configure. Oops, there's a spelling mistake there. It should be AWS configure, not I have used M instead of N, that's why I got there. Okay, so now it's asking me for the AWS access key ID. So remember we obtained the AWS access key. So key ID and the secret access key ID. So you can copy it and then you can paste it here. Click enter. And then they're asking for the AWS secret access key. You can copy that as well and paste it here. Okay, they're asking me the default region name. I'll just leave it as none. So if you want to leave it as none, just type enter. Again, default output format, I'll just click enter. Now you can see so now under .aws folder, when you click this .aws folder, you can see two files called config and credentials, right? Before these two files weren't there. So if I click for example, the config file, so there you can see this default because I have left both of these, the region name and the output format as default. And if you go for credentials, you can see my access key ID and the secret access key ID. Okay. So now in the terminal, you need to run AWS sts get dash session dash token AWS space sts space get dash session dash token. Yeah, it should be correct. Enter it. Okay, so now it has provided me with the access key ID, the secret access key ID, and the session token. So now I need to copy those values and put those values in the DAG file. So let me copy my access key ID, Control C, copy it, and I need to provide it in my DAG file. Where is it? I need to provide it here, right? In front of key, I need to provide the access key ID, and in front of secret, I need to provide my secret access key. You can double click, copy it, Control C, and paste it here, Control V, and then token. So that's quite a long token. So you need to copy that entire token, the session token. It starts from here and it goes all the way till here, right? So yeah, I double click, Control C, copy it, and then paste it here. Okay. Okay, Control S, I saved it. So now we have put those values in the DAG. Okay, now you can see that I have passed my AWS credentials under the storage options. So if you look into this, you can see that I have passed the AWS credentials from which I have included here. I passed all of them uh, inside the storage options. So then what happens is the permission will be given to save the CSV file inside the S3 bucket due to this line. And then also, I think there's a small mistake here, which I couldn't point to you before. I made this change as soon as I recognized. So previously, I didn't include this part S3 colon and slash slash. I think if you haven't included it, you need to include this or else you get an error. And if I'm not sure if I had uh, mentioned the line twice here, not dt underscore screen. I think previously, if I had mentioned, if I had repeated the df underscore data dot to underscore csv, if I had repeated this line twice, please ignore one of them. And this is how your code should look like. This is the final code, and upload this entire code to GitHub so that you can follow along with minimal errors. I'll be removing all of the API keys, credentials, and etc. And when uploading, so make sure to use your API keys, credentials, and etc. Okay, so now save it. Control S, save it, and now let's go for Apache Airflow and run our DAGs. So let me go for our Apache Airflow, and oops, sorry, not here. Let me go for my Apache Airflow. Uh, that is here, and let me refresh it. And let me go for our tag with underscore tag. And let me run this tag. Let's see whether uh, the entire tag runs successfully. Okay, success. Second is also success. Third is queued. Third is also success. Congratulations. And we can actually verify this, that whether our entire we can also like verify whether the CSV file is being saved into the S3 bucket by going to a S3 bucket. I'll show you. So we go to a S3 bucket, and here we go to S3 bucket. You should be able to see the CSV files being saved there, because now we are not saving the CSV files in our EC2 instance. We were able to uh, we make the changes so that it can be saved in the S3 bucket. So now if you go here, you should be able to see the CSV files within this S3 bucket if it is successful. So let me click it. Okay, let's see whether are there any CSV files. All right, there are many CSV. The previous CSV files are the ones which I created before, but now it's 12:06 p.m. Let's see. Ah, yeah. So this is the CSV file which I just created in front of you in this video. This one, right? The last CSV file. So that's nice. If you want, I can run another, run it again and create another CSV file and show you, maybe. I'll run this again. So when this is running again, there should be another CSV file being generated and be saved in the S3 bucket. Okay. Okay. The entire tag has been successfully ran. So now there should be another CSV file under the time 12:06 p.m. So let me go here. Let me refresh this. We should be able to see the last CSV file. Oh, okay, this is a CSV file which I just created now. So let me open this CSV file. Oh no, let me download the CSV file. So let me take it and download this so that I can show you the CSV file better. So let me open the CSV file. So this is how it would look like. So this is the city, Colombo, and then this is the description, broken clouds. This is the temperature, 89.5. This is how it feels like in Fahrenheit. This is how it is the minimum temperature. This is the maximum temperature. This is the pressure. This is the humidity. And then we have the wind speed. And then we have the time of record. We have the sunrise in our local time and sunset in our local time. Okay, excellent. So you have been able to connect to the OpenWeatherMap API, then use the HTTP sensor to check whether the information we entered is correct. So we checked whether the API is ready. And then we went to extract weather data, which was the task 2. And after that, we went to task 3, which transformed the data and then loaded the data into our CSV file. So what we just built is a real-world production-ready ETL pipeline, one that collects, processes, and stores live data using Python, Apache Airflow, and AWS. We touched everything from EC2, S3, Airflow, APIs, Python operators, and more. And guess what? You can now do this for stock prices, cryptocurrency, COVID-19 stats, or anything else in your mind. I have added the full DAG code to a GitHub repo, and the link is in the description. And finally, thanks for watching. If this video helped you, do hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment.